I'm Kim Bergman, and I am a licensed psychologist, and I'm the senior partner and one of the owners at Growing Generations. I apologize, I'm gonna just aim for them because there's 3 of them over there, so yeah. So I have been in the family building business for about almost my whole career, which is about 30 years. Back in the day, it was helping lesbians have babies through donor insemination. And then a good friend of mine had a baby through surrogacy, not with an agency because no one would help him. He did it himself. A lot of people wanted what he had. He asked me to help. I thought I was signing up for some little part-time pro bono stuff and quickly had to give up my practice and do this full-time, which has been amazing and I love it. So Growing Generations is in our 23rd year. We have helped thousands of people become parents. We originally started to help gay men, but of course about half our clients now are gay men, half are not, and all over the world. So we're a full service agency, which means that we are going to put together your team from start to finish, put all the pieces together, and then manage them all. So the way that I look at surrogacy and the way that we do surrogacy is that surrogacy, come on in, surrogacy is a collaboration between a whole bunch of people all working to the same end, which is you becoming a daddy. So what we do at Growing Generations is we put all those puzzle pieces together. Kind of the best analogy I have that I think works is we're kind of like a contractor and you're building your house from scratch. So we are going to know the things that you don't know. And it is a complex process with lots of important legal, medical, psychological, insurance, logistical steps, but it's also a very straightforward process. So done right, surrogacy is really straightforward and very safe. Done wrong, it can be very messy and risky. Some people do it on their own and have a great experience. It can be done, just like building your own house from the floor up could be done, and it could be done fine, but there's not much of a safety net when things go wrong. So what we do is, you had said, where do we start? So basically, if you think about that you need a team, there are certain members of that team that are important, and you won't necessarily know what they are. Just like with building a house, you'll know the obvious, you need a plumber, you need air conditioning, but there's some that aren't obvious. So the pieces that you need for surrogacy, for third-party assisted reproduction, and so third-party meaning you need someone other than yourselves to help with the biology of it, and assisted meaning you got a team. You need a lawyer, you need a doctor, you need insurance, psychologist, a surrogate, a donor, travel, someone, escrow, somebody to manage the money. So all of those steps are what we'll put together for you. We have clients who have a very hands-on approach and are with us every step, and of course they make all the decisions, whether they're involved or not. But we also have intended parents who don't want to be super involved, and we accommodate any of that. There's not really a right or wrong way for you to be as an intended parent. We want you to end up, of course, having a baby, but we'd also like you to have a treasured experience, because the story that you're creating now in your hearts and in your minds is the story you're going to be telling your child. So you want that story to be something that you're proud of and that is, filled with the things that surrogacy is filled with. So surrogacy is about love, intention, creation, a collaboration. So when you're working with a surrogate, obviously the donor and the surrogate and you are the integral members of that team. And then ancillary to that is the rest of us, all the professionals that are going to walk you through everything. So we're with you through all of the early stuff, the screening of the surrogate, the contract, then all of the all the medical, all the way through the pregnancy, the legal that happens later in the process, the delivery, shipping pump breast milk if that's what you want, establishing your parental rights afterward, all the way through about 8 weeks postpartum. We have a really rigorous screening process, so in Growing Generations, only about 2% of the women who apply to be surrogates make it. It takes about 6 months for that screening to happen. It's not a 6-month wait for you, though, because we're always screening a pipeline of surrogates. So it depends on where, when you come into the program, your surrogate will most likely already be somewhere in the screening process. You just won't know it. And one of the things that we are able to do because we're large is we can absorb a lot of the costs that sometimes get passed through to you at other agencies. So we don't charge you for surrogates that don't pass the screening. You won't even ever know about them. We will only match you with a surrogate who's through our screening process. We've already managed all the screening. She's already done. It's already paid for, and she's your surrogate. If, let's say, we match you with her and she drops out for some reason, not later in the process, but let's say her lining isn't developing, the doctor says you need a new surrogate, we move to a new match with no additional costs. So when you look at the costs of Growing Generations compared to some of the other agencies, we look like the most expensive agency, or among the most expensive. But actually, it's just, we're very transparent about our costs. We want you to know full in what you're getting yourself into when you get started. And most of our costs are fixed. So if we tell you it's going to be, $180,000, there is some room where it can go up if you don't get pregnant on the first or second or third try. There's no additional fees to us or the surrogate, but there are medical expenses and real costs like travel for the surrogate and, the IVF fees and the medical fees. But it's not going to be exponential. So our base cost for you to go from retaining us to having a baby may look higher than some other agencies where they might start you off, but none of those fees will repeat. So at the end of the day, we're able to really keep the cost capped. It's not going to be, it can't go exponential. Our fee, the surrogate's fee, the donor's fee, the donor agency fee, the psych fee, the legal fee, and most of the medical fees and insurance are all ever paid once. So no matter how long it takes, no matter how many surrogates you need, no matter how many donors you need, you're paying straight fees. Donor's a little bit different if you cycle the donor, because you have to pay for every cycle. But if you choose a donor and it doesn't work out and you need to choose another donor, there's no fees for that. So we're able to fix a lot of the fees. So it's important when you're comparing cost, just to keep that in mind, because I know sometimes it's really scary to look at our costs and it just feels like it's huge. At the end of the day, you will likely spend right around the same amount no matter who you work with, because these are mostly hard costs paid to outside people and they need to be paid. It just depends on how your agency works with repeating costs. And in our case, we don't have any repeating costs. So it really is able to keep things down. And again, you don't pay for the surrogate screening, and that's a big expense. Medical and psych and travel to screen a surrogate is about $7,500 each time. And on up, because of all of the medical blood labs and all of that. Okay, so that's a teeny little overview. Let's see. Okay, good. I do talk fast, so I know there's a lot to put in. How about questions? I can keep talking, so you don't feel like you have to have a question, but do you have a question at this point? Anybody? Well, so the question is, what are my thoughts about using a clinic and an agency versus a one-stop? There really is no such thing as, I guess some clinics are one-stop, but all agencies use a clinic. So for example, we work with a handful of different clinics. We're not opposed to any clinic. So if you come in with your own doctor, we're not going to drag you from that doctor. We're going to work with that doctor. But the doctors that we work with regularly have special pricing for our clients. They will waive fees for our clients. They're also available 7 days a week. I could text one of them right now, and because I'm Growing Generations, I'm big, they want my clients, they will text me back. So you have an issue on a Saturday, I can get through to the doctor. I bypass everyone else. But that being said, if you're working with your own doctor and you bring your doctor, you're already working with a doctor. We work with almost every doctor. There's no IVF doctor we don't know and we wouldn't work with. So there are some IVF clinics that have in-house surrogacy programs, and that might be what you're thinking of in terms of the one-stop. They're still going to outsource you to a lawyer, to a psychologist, so all of those are going to be outside vendors. The closest thing to one-stop shopping is working with an agency that has all of those. We're not all partners, but they're all like in our unofficial network. So, many of the doctors here are in our unofficial network. We've all had cases. We've worked with them on lots of cases. And the advantage of a big agency like Growing Generations is they all want our clients. So that means that they treat our clients really well, and they treat us really well, and they are very open to communication. They're very open to collaborating on cases because they want us to be happy with the way they treat our clients so that we'll send them more. Yes? Yes, what's the question about it? Oh. As we know it now, embryos and sperm can be frozen and thawed forever. I mean, that hasn't actually been tested because there's forever, but, they can be indefinitely frozen. Eggs can also be indefinitely frozen, but they're much more delicate on the thaw end, so their fertilization rates are lower than fertilization rates of fresh eggs and then freezing the whole embryo. Yeah. I'm sorry? Yes, so the fee that when so if you need an egg donor and a surrogate, you kind of want to estimate in your mind somewhere. So in the big range, it's kind of like 150 to 220, but the average will be more like 160 to 180, and that's what most people will spend. And that includes absolutely everything except for your travel to wherever your baby's born. But it includes all of the donors' travel, all the surrogates' travel, all the donors' screening, surrogate screening, medication, IVF, legal, insurance, surrogates' fees, donors' fee, our fee, psych fee, legal fee, everything. Yeah, and the way it works with us is you retain us with a small, and I know it's relative, but with a small deposit of half of our fee. So depending on which of our programs you choose, it's around $13,000 to $17,000 to start. And then when we match you with your surrogate and you meet her, you like her, she's fully screened, she's gone through all of the medical, legal, psych screening, and it's a green light for sure, you're going to deposit the remainder of the funds into an account that's your account. You're going to send us all of that. You're going to get a monthly P&L showing exactly how much is in your account. We're going to pay all your bills out of it. And the bills are really determined by the contract, so everything is spelled out ahead of time. There's no surprises. The variance in a bill is small. If we think the medication is going to be $4,200 and it's $41, and so we pay those bills. The rest, you'll see monthly how much is in your account. So to the penny each month and by the end. And then when your process is completely done and all of your bills and medical and delivery bills are paid, whatever's left in your account is returned to you. So that's kind of how it works. If you get pregnant on the first try, that first deposit that you put in is going to carry you all the way through to delivery if nothing goes wrong. You asked what are the things that can go wrong. So we do a really good job of controlling. So first of all, legal things do not go wrong. So legal is totally handled. Medically, we mitigate the risks medically because the sperm, egg, embryo, and uterus are highly scrutinized, way more than the general population. But we can't erase the medical risk. So miscarriages happen, lower than the general population, but they happen. You put in 2 embryos, it splits, you have 3. That's a high risk. We don't want that. Pregnancies can be lost late. That's very rare, but it happens. So if any of those things happen, you're still in the same contract. It's devastating, but financially, it's the same as having a negative pregnancy test. You just get back on the horse. So if the miscarriage is early in the process, your doctor will probably recommend you just stay with the same surrogate because miscarriages happen all the time, early, for no reason. If it's late in the process, we probably would rematch you with a new surrogate, and as I said, there's no fee for that. So those are some of the things that can, make the cost increase. But again, they don't increase astronomically, because if you need another embryo transfer, it's whatever your doctor charges. And some doctors, some of the ones we work with, will only charge one fee at the beginning to create the embryos, and it includes 3 frozen embryo transfers. So even if you don't get pregnant on the first try, there's the only additional cost for a second or third try is the hard actual cost of flying your surrogate to the clinic and whatever the medications are. So we do a lot to mitigate the costs and things going wrong. So I've had the 2-minute warning, so we're probably at the 1-minute warning now. Any last questions? Timeline? I can tell you the average for gay men in our program, and I put that in because heterosexual couples often come with embryos, so it's a little faster, about 18 months, start to finish, including weights and everything, from the time you retain us to the time you have a baby. I would say that the range is about 15 to 24 months, with almost all of our clients having a baby within 18 months. And we have an almost 100% success rate, and the only reason it's not 100 is because people sometimes drop out. If they didn't drop out, they would have a baby, because we would stick with them until they do.